time is with us, and if we take control to shape our attitude and reshape our memories, that time is always now. Our time for the best possible uses of our lives. Those are the words of the late political poet, Professor Keorapetse, Willie Kgositsile. The time is today. As a celebration of reclamation of Black history, the Department of Arts and Culture has sponsored the Living Legends Legacy Program sessions that explores the personal, social, and ideological and leadership dimensions of Professor Kgositsile as a writer and transformation leader through poetry, jazz, and visual arts. This and more is taking place today at Funda Community College in Soweto. We're now joined by the curator and marketing manager of this event. Welcome to Trends.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. So tell us a bit about the Living Legends Legacy Program. What is it about?
Okay. Living Legends program, it's about celebrating the living legends that in South Africa, there's about 88 of them that the Department of Arts and Culture has enlisted. So we've partnered with them from 2015 in this program. So we've had a number of living legends that have visited us, where it's an intergenerational exchange of ideas and the future and how the youth sees their future in the arts industry and how the legends can pass on the baton to them and the different experiences that they have had.
So you have already had a session for the Kgositsile. So why are you doing it again?
Okay, we had the session earlier last year with him, and then in November we had agreed on a 3 series with the Department of Arts and Culture, starting with the month of February, celebrating the Black History Month, and then moving to the month of March, where we are celebrating the human rights, but focusing on women in arts, and in the month of April, we'll be celebrating the International Jazz Day. The focus was going to be on Brahu. Unfortunately, the 2 of them departed during the course of the year. But we decided to continue with the program, whereby we'll be inviting 4 speakers that will be focusing on the topic that Professor Kgositsile had already agreed on, which was visual culture and internet and the preservation of our memory.
Tell us a bit about the program that people can expect to see today at Funda College.
Yeah, so the program is divided into 3 components, which because we will touch on the last component of it. The first component, it will be a master class where we have 4 speakers that will be dissecting the topic that I've already alluded to. And then the second part will be a jazz poetry. Willie, just before he parted earlier this year, he was performing at Cullinan Club with the GP Riots Jazz Ensemble. So they will be coming to relive those moments with him. But the performance will be done by young people who will be performing his poems, but adding some interpretation of young people in terms of remixing some of those poems. And the other part is we will be having a crafts market whereby we challenge young people to say, how do we take some of our living legends the same into a lifestyle brand, the same way we do with Che Guevara as now a lifestyle brand. So these are some of the products that they came up with, and there are many other crafts products that they came up with. So the last part will be the visual exhibition which Bukhosi is curating.
So Bukhosi, tell us about the artists that you've selected in this curation progress.
Okay, so the artists that are participating are from the incubation at Funda Center, and 8 artists, 4 of which are going to do a live performance together with the jazz band, which is a jazz impromptu style painting, in conversation with the performances on stage. And also the exhibition itself is a collection of 19 artworks by 8 artists that are trying to capture the ownership of memory. And the exhibition itself is entitled In Search of Memory, which speaks to Willie's poems. So each artist selected one poem and drove inspiration from that poem to produce an artwork in tribute to the late Professor Keorapetse.
Are any of your works in there as well?
Yes, I do have some.
Okay, tell us a bit about which poem you had and what you're unpacking and how it kind of looks.
I had a couple of poems that I was interested in, but I the one that spoke to me the most is the one that says random notes to my son. You know, I think we as the young generation, we sort of like get misguided if we tend to venture out into this world on our own without any proper guidance. So for me, that poem speaks to a larger audience of the youth out there. Yeah.
And I'm sure you also interacted with him sometime last year as well. Can you tell us a bit about some of those memories and why specifically you chose to pick out that part of his poem that you love so much?
Well, when he visited us in the Living Legends program last year, what I found that he was a humble man and very soft-spoken and a lover of art. So it was my very first time to experience and to meet him and to know about him. So that made me want to know more, and throughout searching his works, I learned a lot from that.
His convos were very interesting, ne?
Very much, very much philosophical.
I know. Yeah. And for you?
No, for me, it was seeing this giant and just standing next to him and taking a picture. He was just up to my but I still believe that he was quite a giant, especially when he started talking. But I had an opportunity to interact with him when he came back from exile, when he was still part of the Congress of South African Writers. So it was more of reliving the giant that I've already known and his contribution, especially he's contributed a lot in the US more than in South Africa. So I had the opportunity of knowing more about his work. But that's what we've been doing throughout this month as part of celebrating that history of the Black History Month. To also, he was part of the artists that we featured, and then we were telling people on some of the things that they don't know about as part of #ownership of Black Memory.
Well, thank you so much for coming to Trends. So it's happening today, right at 1 o'clock, right? That's when it starts at Funda Center.
Yes. 1 o'clock until 5 o'clock is the formal program. Then the exhibition is from 1 until 6.
It's open to all.
It's open to all. When Kgosi said live performance, he means that an empty canvas, and then they will be drawing as the performances are happening. So they will be influenced by the poetry and the music in the background.
Well, I guess I know where I'm spending my Saturday. Get yourself some merchandise of the great legendary poet and head out to Funda Center.
Sure.
Thank you so much for coming.